round of day number 1. Let's find out who will watch in the feature match area. This round, it's our 2 undefeated players left in the building. Shuhei Nakamura, the Hall of Famer on Is It Affinity, up against Hyuma Nishi on Tameshi Belcher. Let's take a look at these players. Shuhei Nakamura, the more well-known player, has been playing the game since it basically started in 1995 here. 33 Grand Prix top 8s and 7 wins. That's tied for the all-time lead in GP wins. 6 Pro Tour top 8s, but no win yet for Shuhei, so looking to change that this weekend and certainly in great position. So we all know Shuhei. Who's the opponent here? Hyuma Nishi, also undefeated, started playing the game in 1999. No top finishes for Nishi yet. This is his 4th premier event start. The first was in 2019. Tested for this event solo as well and qualified to play here this weekend at an RC in Tokyo. Already achieved the season goal though, reached day 2 in Atlanta and in style, I might add.
I think the next goal is just beat Shuhei Nakamura at 7-0. I think that's a top finish in its own right.
Yes,
you know,
I agree. I agree. Talk to me about this matchup, Corey.
Okay, so first let's take a look at Shuhei Nakamura's list. I think this is just basically coming down to the deck of the tournament so far.
It's awesome.
It's so awesome. I just saw the last match where Johnny Gutman just was sitting at the table for a while. I was like, how you doing, man? And he's like, I just don't get it. Shuhei's deck is insane. Every plan that I plan to do to just, to interact with this deck, Wrath of the Skies, Pest Control, doesn't work because you're creating all these things from weapon manufacturing, and when they go away, you take a ton of damage. So all the ways that people are attacking Affinity, Shuhei and the rest of his team has kind of that, plan B to prevent that, and that's really all that held Affinity back. So this deck's awesome. Huge fan of this. And then our other side, we have Tameshi Belcher, combo deck. This is quite stock. Really, you do see the creatures, you see the Thundertrap Trainer, you see the Pelagi Archaeologist, as well as the Flare of Denials. So really the stockest of the stock Belcher decks to be able to answer Affinity. I played this Affinity list, and I think the Belcher matchup I very much struggled with, but we'll see if Shuhei's matchup, or version, I should say, is a little different.
I love when players bring a little something spicy to just push a deck over the top. So this is going to be very exciting to watch. Which player will remain undefeated? I'm going to pass it on over to Riley and Cedric to find out.
Thanks very much, Maria, and welcome back to the booth here for the last time today as we get stuck into Modern once again. My name's Riley, joined by Cedric Phillips, and we're going to head down to the feature match area. We've got our only undefeated player yet to crown.
Yes,
we're going to round out coverage of day 1 by winnowing the field down to just one player who stands above the rest. And it's going to be one of these 2 that we're going to feature this round. We've already seen Shuhei Nakamura strut his stuff on screen quite a fair bit across today. The deck that he's playing, this version of Affinity, is absolutely fascinating, and I really want to get my teeth into it a little bit further. We've talked about some of the differences involved here, but now against Belcher, Tameshi Belcher specifically in the hands of Hyuma Nishi. This is a deck that, how do we describe it, Cedric? It's an interesting deck.
The Belcher deck?
Yeah.
Well, interesting is definitely a word that one can use. It is a mono blue. There are no lands technically in the main deck. Look, the ultimate goal here is to get Goblin Char Belcher onto the battlefield, activate it, and then the opponent does die because of the lack of lands in the deck. So you would think that, oh, this would certainly be easy to stop if I know exactly that this is coming, but the deck has a lot of interaction in various forms of free counter magic, and then a lot of consistency in actually finding the card or early mana generation to get the card on the battlefield, plus activate ahead of schedule. That's what kind of makes this deck very appealing for players coming into the weekend.
You might be wondering if you're a newer player and you'll play, well, how could you possibly play a deck without lands? Well, it's due to the flip lands that have been peppered throughout various sets in Magic's history. Seagate Restoration, Suppression Ray, Syncoder's Stupor, Razorgrass, Ambush. These aren't lands on the front side, but as you can see there, Shuhei is playing one there. Lands on the back side, which means that they don't flip the switch for the Goblin Char Belcher. They don't turn the Belcher off.
Correct.
But they can be played as lands in order to get to that Char Belcher activation. But it also plays the Tameshi Lotus Bloom package, which I'm sure we'll get the chance to talk about. But right now, let's talk about what we're seeing here with this turn 1 play from Affinity. Turn 1, the most dangerous turn when you're playing against an Affinity list. What are we looking at here, Cedric?
Just a couple of 0-mana artifacts in Mox Opal and Tormod's Crypt, 2 Springleaf Drums, and a Sink into Stupor, which is going to go into land mode and passing the turn back. So for Shuhei, it's not the most explosive of turns, but what this draw allows for is a very early Kappa Cannoneer, a threat that is very hard to get off of the battlefield and kills the opponent very, very quickly.
So the race is on here with Shuhei Nakamura playing a Kappa Cannoneer.
Now, Shuhei knows the matchup is known, of course, because of open deck list. So these players know what they're up against. So you might be wondering, is Shuhei's keep good enough in a situation like this? Well, Shuhei knows that he probably has at least 4 turns to work with because this is a turn 4 combo deck. So keeping a hand where Kappa Cannoneer is going to come down on turn number 2 and apparently turn
when you've
number
got
3.
a second one as well to go with the first, it's also not so bad.
Correct. And so now the question is the clock fast enough? Well, these are going to get a little bit bigger. This is going to be attack here for 6. Now you also have a 5-power one on the battlefield. Any artifacts that come after this are, of course, going to pump them. But again, if you're just doing the math of, I'm on the play, I am very unlikely to die before turn 4. Can I kill my opponent on my 4th turn of the game? It looks like the answer to this question is going to be yes. And I think most importantly here, Kappa Cannoneer is basically impossible to get off of the battlefield.
Yeah. Ward 4 is just absurd. Like, you're not getting it off in the early turns of the game. Here's a question. What's the absolute earliest that the Tameshi Belcher deck can go off?
I'm fairly confident the answer is turn 4.
It can't go off on turn 3.
Yeah.
Even if like dream stack your deck scenario. Yeah.
This is a turn 4 combo deck, but the thing that makes this deck appealing is that it's a turn 4 combo deck that has protection.
Huge amounts of backup.
And that's the big deal. Is
oh my goodness. Another Kappa Cannoneer.
All right.
Just plays a Kappa Cannoneer every turn until his opponent doesn't want to keep playing Magic anymore. And no, as you say, a turn 4 combo deck is not good enough in today's Modern unless it does have ways to protect the combo. And this deck certainly does. The Tameshi deck certainly does. It's got miles and miles of free counter Magic, but doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with, resolved 6/6s and 7/7s with Ward 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 11ですよね。僕の7
And
They are
come.
making sure the life totals are correct here. Yeah, because the Seagate Restoration, that you take 3 from playing that untapped. Yeah. That's not,
So you just
that's
did.
not on the house. Yeah,
No,
so
no,
that's,
no.
that's just game over.
That's not on the house.
If that were on the house, everybody would play
Oh,
it. So,
boy.
yeah.
So Shuhei Nakamura takes out an easy breezy game 1.
Yeah. Look, I think this is a very advantageous matchup for Shuhei. 1, because of open deck lists, but 2, I think just in general, I think Affinity is a good matchup here in general, especially when you're on the play. But because the amplification of open deck lists of, all right, I know exactly what kind of hand I got to look for.
Yep.
More importantly, I know exactly what kind of hands I can't keep. But the third part of this is Shuhei's deck list. So you got a fast clock. We saw it with the Kappa Cannoneer draw there. But there are other draws that are very fast. This is Affinity, of course, we're talking about. And he has interaction. So we can count Pithing Needle, which can be naturally drawn or found off of Urza Saga. We can count Sink into Stupor on the turns where where his opponent goes off. You just, okay, I'll Sink into Stupor your Belcher. You can try again next turn, and then I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. You have Metallic Rebuke. That can be a counter spell in certain situations. And that's before we get into any sideboarding whatsoever.
This deck is able to put together the classic 1-2 punch of pressure plus disruption.
Yes.
And it has just enough disruption that the Tameshi Belcher deck cannot take the wins for granted.
Yep.
Even though if it is super consistent and he's going to kill on turn 4, there's enough pressure, as we saw with cards like Kappa Cannoneer, with cards like Pinnacle Emissary, maybe in Nakamura's list.
Yes.
With weapons manufacturing as well.
Yeah, that might work itself into the equation. I'm curious how Shuhei's going to sideboard here because he does have some nice options in his sideboard. You can make an argument for a card like Vandal Blast. I'm not convinced it's going to come in, but you can make an argument for it. Consign to Memory, I think you could certainly make an argument for because it does counter a colorless spell. Force of Negation, of course, is protection. That can counter a Belcher. You might want to ramp up the speed a little bit with Galvanic Blast. You can make an argument for a Mystical Dispute because you are playing against a mono blue deck. You can even make an argument for Blood Moon in this matchup because the lands, they're not actual islands.
Yeah, not blue
They're these
anymore, yep.
weirdos that actually tap for blue mana. So Shuhei has a lot of options at his disposal as far as the sideboard is concerned. I'm not convinced all of those cards are going to come in, but quite a few of them will.
All right, so we've got a mulligan to 6 there, it looks like, from Hyuma, who opens up the account with the other side of a suppression ray. So white mana, if he needs it to activate Tameshi. Do see this occasionally.
Now you do see a card in Nishi's hand in Hurkyl's Recall,
Oh, yeah.
which is a solve to a card like Pithing Needle and just Affinity in general. Now, the days of Hurkyl's Recall being an absolute blowout against Affinity, I don't know if it's exactly that way anymore. Like back in the mid-2010s, Hurkyl's Recall was a card that a lot of blue decks would go towards against Affinity. I still think it's good here for pretty obvious reasons, given what Nakamura is playing. but it seems like more of a, hey, I just need to buy a little time and then kill you with Belcher style of card. So,
Hercules Recall returning all artifacts that a player returns to their hand. Can be you if you want.
Yep.
We've actually seen that in various decks where you want to pick up a bunch of artifacts you play to replay them.
yep, it can happen.
But yeah, well, it's Cyclonic Rift essentially
More or less, yeah.
for 2 mana against these artifact decks.
So Shuhei's just going to start things off with a Mem Knight and a copy of Mishra's Bauble. He does have another copy of Mishra's Bauble in hand. He has a copy of Pithing Needle in hand. Willingly chose not to play Pithing Needle on this turn.
Well, yeah, just give your opponent a bunch of turns to find an answer to it, right? Like, they're not going to go off next turn, so you may as well just wait. Scalding Tarn goes and finds a Surveyor land.
And this is kind of a little bit of like hedging your bets a little bit here because, you know, if you do draw a way to be able to make, if you draw a Pinnacle Emissary, you know, then you play the Mem Knight, or excuse me, then you play the other copy of Mishra's Bauble, get another token, that sort of thing. As you see, he's going to surveil the Tormod's Crypt into the graveyard. So a little bit of hedging by holding that copy of Bauble. Now there's a Saga, so that one's a pretty nice one in this matchup. Creates a little bit of pressure with the construct tokens, which are going to be pretty large. Can find a relevant cheap artifact like a Pithing Needle, which is already in Shuhei's hand. So it looks like it's going to be hard cast this turn and get countered by Consign. Yeah, okay.
So Hyuma, we talked about the fact that this is a deck that does have a lot of ways to protect its combo, and being very proactive here with Consigned Memory, getting rid of the Pithing Needle before it becomes an issue.
Yep.
But even if it did resolve, there's stuff like Hercules Recall, there's Sinker to Stupor, ways to resolve pieces like a Pithing Needle. So much better stuff here from Hyuma.
Yes.
Not facing down a lot of pressure, for one, which is really important, but secondly, able to leverage some of the cards. He didn't cast a single spell last turn. Last game.
Nope.
Didn't cast. He just played a bunch of lands. That was it.
And then just died.
Yeah. So this is much better stuff here for Hyuma.
Shuhei did fire off one of those baubles, so was able to pick up another card.
And his hand looks okay.
Yeah, this hand is slow-ish currently. Construct tokens will ramp up the damage once they start arriving via the Urza Saga.
Okay. Draws a couple of cards, once again, off the Mishra's Bauble. Saga goes to 2. Consigned. Another Saga. It's a Thought cast in the hand as well there. Nice full grip here.
Yeah, Emery's probably the standout card in hand right now.
That was out of the board.
Yeah, that's the most unique of the bunch because it is a nice way of getting stuff back from the graveyard that does get handled like the Pithing Needle did a little bit earlier. So that's one, as you mentioned, from the sideboard. I didn't even mention that when I was going over the sideboard. Wasn't sure it was going to be a great option.
That's the thing. I had a look at that. I'm like, okay, well, that's probably in like more grindy, like attrition-based matchups where you're wanting to replay things. But in this exact situation, it's actually, I think, going to be very useful.
Yeah, I think the fun part of Shuhei's deck that we have been kind of gushing over, the weapons manufacturing, the engineered explosives, like I think those are mostly gone. You know, it's not really about that in this particular matchup. I think it's about bring in plenty of permission to be able to stop the Belcher from resolving and then pressure enough. And then, you know, Nishi goes for it and it's like, well, you pick the counter spell that I play. I'm going to make sure that you can't win the game.
All right, these Mem Knights ticking away here.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot if you're Shuhei, if you want to actually, do you want to take Consign down? Because we're about to go to the 4th turn for Nishi, and this is the turn that technically Nishi would be able to go off. Do you just want to leave up, mana for Consign? Do you want to leave up mana for Urza's Saga activation? Do you just want to cast Emery? Clearly this question has been answered of just passing the turn up and leaving himself some optionality is what Nakamura has decided to do. And Nishi says, I'm going to put you right to the test.
Yep, I'm just going to go for it. Here's the Goblin Charbelcher. Costs 3 life to get that land into play untapped, but well worth it for this game-winning card should it resolve. But I think Shuhei is going to have other plans here. 3 mana.
That's replicate Consign.
To replicate the Consigned Memory. And the reason for that is because of the potential for extra counterspells?
Yep.
Yep.
It could be something like a Pack Negation, or who knows
Disrupting
what.
Shoal.
Yep, something like that. So you can play around it.
And you're not using the mana for anything else.
Correct.
So you may as well just fire it off. You don't always see the replicate being used by consigned memory.
That card's really, really, really strong.
Yeah.
Good time for a Mox Opal here. Just get some mana on the battlefield. I think mana was the bottleneck coming into the turn, especially a second blue mana. So this will give Shuhei the ability to do multiple things in a turn.
So phone's an EE
Okay, so that's still in the deck.
for the turn as well. Engineered explosives. That's interesting to me. What does that hit post board? Are you still playing the weapons manufacturing package?
I guess technically, I don't know how often this would come up, but like you can play an EE on 0. Lotus Bloom goes off in the upkeep, blow up the
Oh,
Lotus
true.
Bloom, right?
Before
That's a thing.
they get to you. Yeah.
It's a little dicey. That's my first thought. It's a little dicey because like you have a lot of zeros.
That's what I was going to
in
say.
your deck.
There's almost always going to be splash damage there.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a nice one. Did you see that? Force negation to pick up.
Oh yeah, that's very nice.
Shuhei, that's really, really nice with that thought cast.
Yeah, this is the pressure plus disruption model that you want to have here.
The pressure right now, it's not
that fast,
No.
but it's not nothing.
It's not
Right.
nothing. We got to, there's a couple of. Ooh, I started this sentence without being to cash the check. Pascals, I think, is what measures pressure. One moment, keep the viewers entertained.
Oh, okay. Well, if I must, we're gonna see Shuhei.
Yes, it's the unit of pressure of the international system. Oh, I forgot where I am. Sorry, I should be talking in PSI.
Oh,
here,
thank
shouldn't
you.
I?
Really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Of course, yes.
Make a construct token with the mana that was floating from the Urza Saga. Shuhei is tapped out, so clearly things must be safe.
Oh yeah, what's he worried about?
Yeah, clearly for Nishi.
Yeah. No, well, we of course know that Force Negation is here to make things hard
Now,
for Hyuma Nishi.
What is actually unique about a situation like this is let's say that Nakamura didn't have Force Negation. There's really no fear. There is some fear of dying, but there's not a guarantee of dying because it could just be a play Belcher go, right? And then Nakamura could untap, activate Emery, get the needle back, cast the needle, and then you're still pretty safe.
Yes.
Right? So it would cause, like, to win this turn, Nishi would kind of have to have it all.
So you're not even in this like immediate danger.
Correct. Now, I expect Force Negation to be played here.
Just because you can, and why wouldn't you?
Yep.
Yeah. But I understand your point. Your point is that like this isn't a sort of, oh, shield's down, I've got it.
Yep.
If he doesn't have the force, then this game's all wrapped up.
And so this counter magic that Shuhei has brought in this deck, both main deck and sideboard, and just the interaction that is had here, has been so powerful for him all weekend long through these modern rounds. This is why when we watched him in our last round that we covered 2 rounds ago, just like the gears start turning in my head about why did he play this deck? How did he go about building this deck? And it all is kind of making sense when we watch him play more and more and more. And now you see the boots coming onto the construct.
We're talking kilopascals.
Yeah, and
We're talking
this is
megapascals
over.
here
This is
now.
over.
Look at that pressure. Shuhei Nakamura in straight sets, a 2-0 victory. No belching was done whatsoever. Really, really impressive stuff from Shuhei. This deck is definitely the one to watch in the hands of our lone undefeated player, Cedric, at the end of day number 1.
I'm going to say a thing that I'm not prone to saying.
Okay.
He's got the best constructed deck in the room.
Oh boy, that's a huge call.
He has the best deck he has the best constructed deck in the tournament.
Yeah,
For sure.
So, Affinity was a deck that we had on our radar heading into this tournament. It's not like that. It's not the fact. Isn't Affinity didn't catch anyone by surprise as an archetype, as a macro archetype.
Yep.
It's this sub archetype that we're seeing in the hands of the Hall of Famer.
Yes.
That has taken this entire thing to the next level.
He definitely has the best build of the deck. And I am quite confident that he has the best deck in the tournament because this is a combo-heavy metagame.
Yeah.
His deck destroys combo. And then his deck has an extremely high ceiling of, oh, look at my busted draw on turn 1 with Mox Opal and everything else that this deck is capable of. So from a ceiling standpoint, he has ceiling draws that he can play towards that like basically no deck can really beat outside of like the people who registered Fire Magic, which we saw.
Yeah, well, and this is the point I was going to come back to, is the fact that when we first saw Affinity, we got absolutely hosed.
Yes.
Because it was playing against Supreme Verdict and Fire Magic.
Correct.
But that isn't what's dominating this tournament field.
And also, his deck is kind of ready for that kind of stuff, too, because like he has some sort of counter magic
Explosive,
in his deck, and he has the explosives, weapons manufacturing
yeah.
nonsense that other people don't have. I think he has the best constructed deck. Doesn't mean he's going to win the tournament, But I think he has best constructed deck, and also he's 5-0 constructed, top of the standings, Hall of Famer, really good at Magic, all of those things.
All right, so Cedric Phillips confirming Shuhei Nakamura is
Raise
indeed
it!
the champion.
Give him
here
the trophy!
Well, this is just his ploy to get out of... not sleeping isn't good enough.
I'm coming back tomorrow.
He wants the weekend off.
No, I'm coming back. I get to watch
look,
Shuhei.
I can see the tiredness in your eyes, Cedric. He needs a
yeah.
little break. We're going to take one now. We're going to give
idea.
Cedric 2 minutes off, and we'll be back after this with more Magic for your viewing pleasure, assuming that Cedric stays awake. We'll be back. Ahoy there, and welcome back to coverage of Pro Tour Edge of Eternities, coming to you from Atlanta in the US, out of Magicon Atlanta.
That's where we are.
That's where we are. And it's fantastic to have your company around the world, wherever you are, choosing to join us here at this incredible event, huge event. Thousands and thousands of people assembled to celebrate this game that we all love. But we're not here for the fun and frivolity of the show floor. No, we're here for the very serious business of Pro Tour Magic. And we're rounding out coverage of day number 2 here, round 8, jumping into one of our other feature matches. We're going to head back to the beginning of this one and see how things go between our two 5-1-1 players here. Benton Madsen with Golgari Brudsko. We checked in with him a couple of rounds ago, Cedric and I. Playing off against Zihao G on Espagorio's Vengeance. This was a deck that was a focal point for a lot of people with this deck. Big things expected from it. It's been okay so far, based on what I've seen. But we're going to see a little bit more of it right now on your screens. But talk us through, for those who may not be familiar with this list, Cedric, what the Goryo's Vengeance deck is trying to do.
All right, so the aforementioned Goryo's Vengeance, that's going to get a legendary creature back in the graveyard. Ideally a track, so it can be Gristlebrand as well. And if things go according to plan, you ephemerate the creature that you get back so it sticks on the battlefield. But it does have a backup game plan, which previous iterations of this deck didn't really have.
It used to be a huge,
very all-in graveyard.
Glass cannon.
Yes.
It does one thing, a one-trick pony.
Correct. Now this deck can do plenty of different things. It can play a normal game with Psychic Frog. It can play a normal-ish game with Solitude and Ephemerate. If you're playing against a creature-based strategy, it can generate some card advantage via Quantum Riddler and Ephemerate. So the thing that draws folks to this deck is this is your agency deck. I got a lot of play. I get to make a lot of decisions. My decisions are powerful. How do I want to use Psychic Frog? How do I want to use a Quantum Riddler? How do I want to use Ephemerate? I got some removal. I've got Faithful Mending. Excuse me. I got a lot of optionality. It feels really good to just have this control over how my games go.
We'll have a chat about what Benson Madsen is up to. Madsen with this
Malvin Rumble.
With this Golgari Broodskell deck. But the comparison I want to make for the Esper Goryo's list, and this might sound a little bit weird, is Splinter Twin.
I'm not there.
You're not there?
No.
So Splinter Twin was able to play in one of two ways, right? If your opponent did nothing and put the shields down on turn 4, you would kill them. You would play your Deceiver Exarch, you'd untap and you'd play Splinter Twin and they were dead.
That's true.
If they wanted to play a slower, grindier, more interactive match, you just played a blue-red control deck and beat them in the air with the Pestamite, eventually, right? And this reminds me of the approach that this Goryo's Vengeance archetype can take, because shields down, if you give them the opportunity, they can put something into play with the Goryo's Vengeance and just more or less win on the spot. Not in the same way, they don't combo off like the Splinter Twin thing, right? But not many people are surviving in an Atraxa at Bristol Brand.
I feel like it's unlikely.
It's unlikely.
So
right?
in that regard, I am on board with the comparison.
But then if people are ready for that and they don't want to play, they're not going to let you win with an Atraxa or a Griselbrand Goryo's Vengeance, that's fine. Just kill them with Psychic Frog.
Yeah, and Psychic Frog is more than capable of killing someone all by itself.
Yeah, exactly right. So I like, as you were talking about, it gives the players who play this a lot of agency, a lot of decision making, and this at the highest level of the game, these are the sorts of decks that really attract the best players. The players who feel like they are in control of their own destiny. They're not just hoping to draw a good 7. Yep. They're hoping to draw a versatile 7. A 7 that can be adapted to any particular situation.
No, agency is one reason to enjoy the deck, for sure. But also, the deck is powerful.
Yes.
So that's the other thing.
Certainly. Yeah.
You are doing powerful things. You are not registering any bad cards in order to make a thing happen.
No.
Right?
All the cards more or less stand on their own.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Maybe Faithful. But
if that's your worst card, your deck's probably pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we move on now to talk about Benton Madsen's list, excuse me. This is a deck, this is sort of cut from the cloth of the old Yorgmoth, the Golgari Yorgmoth lists. It's got Young Wolf, it's got Wall of Roots, it's got a lot of the usual suspects, but it also has this combo with Basking Broodskell and Blade of the Blood Chief. All bees, all day long. This episode of the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour brought to you by Let It Be. But this is quite a potent combo. These two cards allow you to go off, make an arbitrarily large creature, an arbitrarily large amount of mana. And from there, if you can't win, well, you know, bit of a...
there's a bigger problem.
Bit of a pebcack situation.
Yeah, there's a bigger problem if you can't figure out a way to win. Now, we watched Benton a little earlier. The way that he was able to win once actually doing the combo with Broodskell and Blade of the Blood Chief was just an infinite walking ballista, and all the damage, of course, goes upstairs. And so that's what that deck is trying to do. It's the 1-2 punch. If you get the combo online, you basically can go from there, and we're going to see if he can actually assemble it in the face of a deck that has Solitude and everything else.
Actually,
go
I will point out,
please do,
given that Dr. Frank Carsten will be tuning into this broadcast, you actually can't make a creature infinitely big.
Okay.
You can't, you have to stop at some point. You can make it arbitrarily large.
Got it.
That's what all the eggheads say. All the mathematologists out there, that's the terminology they use.
Never been much of a numbers.
Slide into Cedric's DMs if you've got a...
This is the second time you've recommended this?
If you want to explain the finer points of countable and uncountable infinities to Cedric, if you want to talk to him maybe about, I don't know, he's giving me daggers. The eyes are just Cedric's giving me a very clear message here that I shouldn't be continuing to... slide into Cedric's DMs if you don't want him to...
Third time. Come on in.
If you're trying to give him advice as to how to get people to stop him from sliding into those DMs. All right.
Come on in. See what happens to you. Come on in.
Agatha Soul Cauldron on the battlefield now, Cedric. In addition to those 2 Psychic Frogs.
Two of those things is a lot. Card's quite good. Benton's going to be in... I mean, likely to be in some amount of trouble here. Okay, gonna eat that with the Cauldron.
Right, put a +1/+1 counter on the Eldrazi spawn. Let's see here.
I mean, he does have Blade of the Blood Chief, so that part is solved.
And with the Agatha Soul Cauldron, there's no... and the +1/+1 count on the Eldrazi spawn. Does the combo work the same way with the? Because now the Eldrazi spawn has the ability of the Basking Broodskell?
So whenever one or more +1, it's not an activated ability, so... Well,
oh, it's not the... Yeah, so you need the triggered ability of the... okay, no, not quite. But I guess you can adapt. No, you can't because it's got a +1/+1 count.
Correct.
Never mind. All right.
This one's a little wonky.
Yeah. Agatha's Soul Cauldron is a card that... I'm not thankful for that card. I'm not thankful that card exists. Every time an opponent plays it, I've never resolved my life. Every time an opponent plays it, this game just got so much more.
That card is content, baby. You can do some fun things with that card.
Yeah, you can do fun things, but at what cost?
2 mana. You asked.
Yeah, all right. Asked and answered. Asked and answered.
I will note, only 1 copy of Yawgmoth. So, like, the Yawgmoth aspect of this deck is very light. For those of you who used to play Yawgmoth in Modern, you had 4 Yawgmoths, Court of Calling, and Young Wolves, and Strangleroot Geist, and all their stuff. Like, there's little touches of that here, but it's not really what the deck is about. It's kind of like a backdoor thing the deck can kind of
do. It can do it, but it's not what it's built to do primarily, yeah.
I mean, I kind of... Like, is he just clear for takeoff here or close to it?
Okay, we've got another Basking Broodscale. Exiling now a Young Dog. And putting a +1/+1 counter on the Broodscale.
Why can't he be a Young Wolf? Why?
He's a Young Wolf.
Yeah.
He's a Young Wolf.
Yes.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying. A young canine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and here's the blade.
Yeah, so the 2 cards are here.
2 great flavors. You know him, you love him.
Well, Benton is doing this like kind of silly. Like he does have, like he has protection in play because of the Vexing Bauble.
Yeah.
I'm sorry? We have Bauble, so
Yeah, he can't do it.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's like he's going very
Make it
slow.
like that.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing. He's giving his opponent every chance to respond. Not that his opponent can respond, but he's...
And then I end up with the loop here. Use 1 infinite mana. So this is a bunch.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, this is a bazillion.
Use the green.
There's a bazillion a number. Should I check with Frank?
Yeah, ask Dr. Frank about that one.
Green and a colorless for Insight Trigger.
Yep.
So he has either a countable or an
In life,
uncountable
game.
Fit is for 1 million.
of mana, and that's going to be used to make an arbitrarily large
There you go.
walking ballista, which is going to wrap things up nice and neat. And that's the combo. That's the combo. You make a huge amount of mana with, I can't say the word infinite now because otherwise I know you'll be all over me. And
I would never be so petty.
Yeah?
No.
Really?
No.
I've seen you be petty. Oh, you wouldn't be so
Not
petty
once.
on camera.
Not
Not on
once.
camera. Right.
Or
right.
off camera. Not a petty guy.
But no, with the Blade of the Blood Chief and the Basking Broodscale, you can make an arbitrarily large amount of mana, and then you can funnel that arbitrarily large amount of mana into a walking ballista, which of course can be... it's just the middleman to get that damage to an opponent's face. All right, we go to game number 2 now.
One note on game 1 that I do want to point out. The combo and Agatha's Soul Cauldron and other stuff, really nice. Vexing Bauble is the star of the show there. Protection around Solitude and anything else. You know, you don't have to worry about a thing. You don't have to think about Force Negation, Solitude, any of that stuff. And that's exactly why Zihao pointed out, is like, you have Vexing Bauble, I cannot do anything. And it's like, Benton is aware of that, but Benton was just being very cautious, didn't want to make any mistakes.
Yeah.
5-1-1, big difference between 6-1-1 and 5-2-1. Benton has played on the Sunday stage before, so he knows that even in a situation like that where he is extremely likely to win the game, just wants to make sure that he's not overlooking anything.
This is a man who settles in to the feature match area. He makes it his own. He's very relaxed, very casual, sits there cross-legged, has a great time.
Highly approve.
And
Highly.
You can see that with the way that he plays. There's a quiet confidence to it. He's put together very well here. These matches are played with expertise, with poise, with grace.
Yeah, I mean, we really first met Benton, at Pro Tour Phyrexia a couple of years ago, where he was a finalist. Of course, we do remember Reed Duke winning that event, but Reed had to beat someone in the finals, and unfortunately for Benton, it was Benton. But Benton, he handled himself very, very well in that tournament with deck selection, with play. It was a very emotional tournament for him. He's wanted a top finish in his career like that. He really couldn't believe that he was making that run. But after you get over that hump, then it's about how do I get there again, right? And we've seen him make some deep runs into day 2. Hasn't made the Sunday stage yet again. And that's why I said that there's a big difference between 6-1-1 and 5-2-1 in a spot like this. You get a win here to close out your day. Emotionally, you're going to be doing very well. And then also you're thinking to yourself, you know what? That's one less win that I have to try to get tomorrow.
And the wins only get harder.
Yes.
As you get closer.
Crazy thing about these tournaments, they don't get easier the further you go.
Yeah. Nice full hand here for the American. Who with 2 mana. I think we're going to see a... I think he's got a Malevolent Rumble in hand. Excuse me. So Spymaster's Vault is the card that's being inspected here. Black tap, target creature you control connives X, where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. Just a little fun of in Benton's list here. Just the highly scientific one of.
I mean, positive text on that card, not free to add into your deck. You know, it's a non-basic. Can enter the battlefield tapped a high percentage of the time, given the text. So, you know, there's a lot of positives there, but there's an opportunity cost associated with playing that card.
19 plays 13.
Agatha Soul Cauldron joining the party as well. Psychic Frog ready to be deployed into the red zone. But first up, from Zihao, what do we got?
Riddler. Yeah, so this is an interaction that you're going to see a lot when you either watch Esper Gorios or play against it, which is you're going to warp the Quantum Riddler, trigger on the stack to draw the card. Alongside Psychic Frog, you can discard a bunch of cards, make your frog a little bit bigger, and then draw 2 cards. And then the frog will attack. Of course, when frog hits you draw a card. So before the frog hits you and then trigger the draw, because Riddler's still on the battlefield, you discard some cards, you draw 2 more cards.
Right.
And so your frog is Gigundus. That's a number. And then you've also got Atraxa in the graveyard. And now Ephemerate. Cooking! This is why you play the deck. It's all coming together. Draw 2, by the way. It's all coming together.
So the Ephemerate was on the Riddler there.
Yes.
So how many cards did you draw that turn? 8?
I think that was 6 to 8.
6 to 8 cards drawn that turn. Easy as anything. So Quantum Riddler, you look at it and you're like, great. The worst case scenario here is that I am spending 2 mana, drawing a card, and putting a 4/6 in my pocket for later.
Yeah, that's the floor.
That's the floor on this card. The ceiling isn't even like a 4/6 flyer that draws you a card. The ceiling is so much. We're in a cathedral with rib vaulted ceilings.
It's good magic.
It's that high.
Be a good time for a young wolf, right?
7, 11.
Or excuse me, young canine.
The young dog.
Yeah, get the young dog out.
Get the dog out, mate. Get the dog.
You have 3 cards in hand? 3. Yep, makes sense.
It's gonna be a tough game for Benton.
I don't want to play this.
He's asking the tough questions.
He said, "How do I want to play?" I mean, he's not conceding, so
no.
Conceivably he has things to do.
Yeah. How do I want to play this? He says, and that's good. That's good. He's keeping himself in.
Well, it could be good.
What I'm saying is, it shows he's in the right place mentally.
Well, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
On the 1-drops I can hit.
Oh, he's definitely in the right place mentally now.
Yeah.
If he's asking what 1-drops I can hit in this like dire situation where he's extremely likely to die next turn, I love it. Because that means we're in no quit mode.
Cracks the fetch. Look, hey, do you know? Remember who he lost to in the final of the Pro Tour?
The man that literally never concedes a game.
Never say die, Reed Duke. So he's learned a thing or two from the best, and he's going to go down swinging, and we love to see it.
No, if there's a way for him out of this game, I will be intensely impressed.
Yeah. Slide into his knees. Tell him how impressed you are.
This is hard. This isn't technically Esper Gorio's best draw, but it's one of the better ones.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. All right. Dredge's inside now. Thought it might have been a rumble, but instead it's an inside. All right, Brood Skull. Oh, there's the dog. Ooh. And a delighted halfling as well. I don't know how delighted he is to see that particular card. Because you might have thought that Zihao G's turn last turn was pretty good, Cedric. But
I did, yeah.
Here's the newsflash for everyone. I'm sure a lot of people watching this have figured it out. he can do it again.
That's true.
He can do it again every turn.
That's true.
The Riddler is here to stay. The Frog is doing exactly the same thing that it does all the time. You discard your hand, you put a bunch of counters on it, you draw a bunch more cards, and your opponent's life total is not going to stand in the way of that for very long.
You know, I wanted Young Wolf, and I got it. There it is. It'll be a dream if this thing gets to block.
Yeah. Hey, it's got Undying, right? It could come back. You kill it, or bring it back. No worries.
That Young Wolf have reach, and I don't remember.
Listen, let's not get caught up on technicality. Let's not get caught up on the fact that Zihao has a Solitude in hand that can just exile it.
That's also true.
Well, the wind blowing
I guess-
firmly.
I guess technically Young Wolf has secret reach right now because of the Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So
Oh, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and all of a sudden,
it becomes a psychic. It has psychic frog abilities.
because you can give it flying?
Yeah, you remove 3 cards from your graveyard.
Yeah.
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 All right, so psychic frog's in the air. Hidden reach.
Secret range. And Zihao here, considering, what's he thinking about? Is he thinking, do I actually want to cast any of these cards? Am I discarding? What am I doing?
So a frog right now is a 6. Let's see. This probably makes things a little easier. This forces an interaction right now.
Okay.
Because now the Cauldron activation, yes. Eat one of your own creatures. Okay, so eat the Brood Scale.
Put the counter here,
Yeah, put the count on the wolf.
and I gain a life from this.
Yep.
So I gain 2, 1 from this, 1 from this. Okay, I'm at 15.
Fact.
Because a card left the graveyard.
That's right.
Okay. So I gain 1 from this and 1 from this.
Yeah, so Solitude's gonna take care of the Young Wolf in response to the Agatha Soul Cauldron.
And then,
So
and
the wolf
then
is gone, and I'll let Benton do the rest here in just a moment.
This is mine. So it's,
All right, in they come. Once again, we're seeing the Quantum Riddler
Discard that. Draw
and
2.
Psychic Frog get to work.
yeah, I think so I take 11, go to 4.
Right?
What?
12, right?
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I got 3.
All right, Ben Madsen takes 12, goes down to 3. Draw another 2 here for Zihao, thanks to the Riddler and the Frog. Lands. Oh, boy.
Okay, presenting over 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a couple copies of Prismatic Ending. Taking care of just all the things.
Yeah.
Can you kill me?
Yeah. Get it over with. Let's go to game 3.
If I was Zihao, I was like, if I lost this game, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. It's
I don't know.
basically the second best draw my deck can have.
Just kind of got away from me. You know, he cast a Malevolent Rumble, and it all just it all went downhill from there. But look at this. Benton, that's going down swinging.
Again.
Fatal
We
Push.
can't do that.
Fatal Push only. It deals with half the situation.
There you go.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Nope. We're going to game number 3 here. Zihao G putting the Goryo's Vengeance deck. Well, I say Goryo's Vengeance deck. This Esper deck through its paces there. We didn't see Goryo's Vengeance.
No, we haven't. And again, that's part of the appeal.
Yeah.
Now, this is a matchup, oddly enough, for like the Goryo's Vengeance aspect of the deck may not be particularly good. You're playing against a deck that has main deck copies of Agatha's Soul Cauldron, right? So you may be incentivized to board out some number of Goryo's Vengeance, as there's a Vexing Bauble to start the game off.
Very
Vexing
nice
Bauble's
one.
so good
Yeah.
in game number 1. We'll see if it's as good this game.
One of. Just the one of. Across in the 75. Just the one of.
It's a nice card to find off of Urza Saga, so that's part of the reason for its inclusion. It gives you protection around Solitude and Force of Negation when you're comboing, all that stuff. But yeah, the Goryo's Vengeance aspect of the deck, it could just be lessened after Sideboard.
1 ring.
That's all. Just more interaction, that sort of thing.
Do you know Will? Will Hall? He's a cool dude.
All right.
Been a fan.
Got a Surveil land there here for Zihao. Keeps a card on top. Good sign for him.
Crossed up.
All right.
So the Saga go to level deuce.
So no constructs from it this time, as we see now the Brood Scale. I guess you could, no you can't. No. Can't make a construct here.
No.
Won't get an opportunity to. Thoughtseize. Let's have a look. So Yorgmoth, it looks like a Dredge's Insight and a Walking Ballista. And this is the good thing about playing bad cards. When they Thoughtseize you, joke's on them.
So my expectation is Ballista's going to bite the dust here. That would be my expectation.
Okay.
Benton has Blade of the Bloodchief rolled up with Urza Saga, and the Brute Skull's already on the battlefield. Ballista is part of the combo to finish things off. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the selection here.
The problem is, with a card like Dredge's Insight, you can either find the Ballista or find a way to find the Ballista.
Yeah, it could be anything.
So, but having said that, you just get rid of the clear and present danger that's in front of you for sure.
I think there. Like, I do not think it is Yawgmoth. There is no black man on the battlefield, so taking this is fine. Again, the game is not over.
Actually, there's an Undercity Sewers. Just playing well.
I see.
Just playing well. Switch chat for you there, just saving you from
Thank you.
the jackals in the chat there. All right.
Float one.
Up goes the Urza's Saga. Go hunting for a cheap artifact here. Your thoughts, Cedric Phillips?
So the trick right now, okay, so I assume it's Blade of the Bloodchief. That's my assumption. We will see. Benton knows this deck much better than I do. So you get the Blade, your combo's in play, but it costs a single mana. You have Ballista. You play Ballista for 0. That triggers the Blade of the Bloodchief whenever a creature dies. Put a +1/+1 counter on this thing. And then whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on the thing,
Use the colorless.
yeah, so use the colors from the Saga equip here. He can technically make infinite mana. Or excuse me, he can technically make an infinite big big.
Yes.
Yeah. He's gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it-
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I don't think I'm missing
Oh,
anything.
no, because you don't need anything to die because you're going to
Yeah. Yeah. You just
Because you can
adapt.
adapt.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
missing. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
sorry.
right. No, because in all the other situations that we've seen, the Bruce
creature died,
already,
yeah.
and it's already had a counter
Yes.
on it, right? Yeah, but in this situation, no, you just put the counter on it, which triggers the spawn. You can sacrifice the spawn because it has that ability, and then you just go from there. And because of the Thoughtseize, we already knew there was a Walking Ballista in hand, so that's it.
It's also the Vexing Bauble again.
Yeah.
Because Zihao had Solitude in hand. So it's the one in Vexing Bauble again
Yep,
that just won the game?
yep.
Jeez.
Just like that, Vexing Bauble. I mean, Benton Madsen will be very, very happy that card turned up when it did in games number 1 and 3. A well-earned victory from him. And he moves now to 6-1-1. Very, very good score to be taking to day number 2.
He's one of 2 people playing this deck this weekend. It's an interesting deck. So Matt Nass is someone who's worked on this deck a lot. Matt Nass winning a Pro Tour, likes the weirdest of combo decks.
Yes.
We know that about Matt, and he plays them extremely well. Matt, if he doesn't Twitch stream a lot, but when he does, he has worked on this deck, and he's posted a little bit about it on his Twitter as he's worked over it over time. This deck is really interesting because there's a lot of combo decks that you can play in Modern. This is on the lower tier of them, and so far it just doesn't see that much play. And it's a deck that, because it's based around creatures, it's not the hardest thing to interact with, right? Removal spells, Solitude's free. Solitude's very popular this weekend. But if you can find ways to protect your combo, and of course Vexing Bauble standing out amongst them in a very big way, then you just win the game as early as turn 3. Benton's draw there was extremely good. It's a turn 3 win, and it's a turn 3 win through an answer. You keep Solitude because you're oh, you play a creature, I'm gonna kill you, and then they play their one of Vexing Bauble that they're supposed to get off the Saga, and you go, my hand doesn't function anymore. And the Thoughtseize that happened was inconsequential. It didn't do anything, even though you would think it would do something.
This is the Thoughtseize, traditionally a card that picks apart combo decks very, very effectively. But we just saw Benton Madsen showcase the power of this list, playing through opposing disruption with his own disruption, his counter disruption, so he can get his combo across the line.
I was very focused on the sacrificing of creatures thing. I'm sorry for missing the adapt. We know how the cards work. That's our fault.
Well, we at least pretend to a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on now. We've got another match to check in on here. We've got 2 people from the Great White North. Canada, represented here by Xander Naumenko and Andrew Kidston, both of them on 5 and 2. Both of them started in 2013. Angular Titan versus Tameshi Belcher. So This one, there's a lot of parallels on either side of the table here. Both of them playing complicated combo decks.
I'm going to assume that Xander is the smartest human being on the planet.
Okay.
Because playing Amulet Titan,
Yeah.
and Amulet Titan has never been more complicated once it got the adaptation of Scape Shift and Lotus Veils and everything else that it's got going on now.
Yeah, it was already pretty complicated deck.
But yes, this deck it was already pretty complicated.
And then they were like, but surely we can make it worse.
Yeah, so now this deck has gone to like Zach Galifianakis math meme of if you know how to do it.
Yeah, the lady in the Spanish, I think it was like a telenovela with the stuff flying around. Yeah.
So if you know how to do it, you have so much potential to do well in a tournament like this. Because when you talk to a lot of people like we did before the tournament at the players hangout, a lot of people were like, "Hey, Amulet Titan is obviously very good. It is much too difficult for me to play, and I don't have the time or the reps to actually learn how to play it," which is a common thing that people say about the deck. Everyone acknowledges its power and how it's been around Modern for a very long time and performs very, very well in the hands of people who know how to do the thing. The problem is that not everyone knows how to do the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
It might be the best deck in Modern.
I would not be surprised if it was the best deck in
It's just
Modern.
that you need a brain the size of Megamind in order to actually play it properly.
I read a lot of stuff by Dominic Harvey, who knows this deck incredibly well. P.S. He's playing in this tournament, not playing Amulet Titan. And even when I started playing it last year, and I would talk to him about lines and everything, I was like, you know what, I'm tapping out. It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's just too much.
Yeah, there are so many lines to this list. It's made even worse or even better by the fact that like now Scape Shift can get you whatever combination of 4 different lands you want that are going to do this, that, or the other. Incredibly complex deck.
It has Aftermath Analyst kills. It has Scape Shift kills. Some people only play like 2 copies of Scape Shift. This one has 4.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot going on. We're going to try to keep up with the action. There's an amulet on the battlefield. There's a Saga, an addition that was made to this deck because it can find amulets, of course, and then backup plan of making constructs and killing your opponent with them.
And this is a deck that's already gone through a banning. Older players will remember. Summer Bloom was
moons ago.
Was sniped right out of the format when Amulet Titan was too good all those years ago. That was back in the day when they were killing with Primeval Titan and Sunhome and Slayer's Stronghold.
Yeah, I think those days are long gone.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 mana, probably I'm going to guess Splunking.
Splunking.
Bang.
There we go. Look at him go.
Yep. Trigger. Yep.
Now, how does it work with Spelunking and Amulet of Vigor?
All right, to the best of my recollection...
Do you get to double dip?
No, you do not get to double dip. You get to choose.
With chamber enters on top, trigger. Answer.
There is no double dipping. This I know for sure.
Because Spelunking just says lands you control enter the
untapped.
battlefield untapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the Amulet of Vigor now kind of does nothing. Oh no, because if you play a tap permanent, I guess it would mean it was untapped. All right, Lotus Bloom
I have 4 cards.
suspended for Andrew Kidston on the other side of things, but Spelunking, Explore, Never Say Jew comes down as well.
So remember, the thing about Belcher is it's a turn 4 combo deck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Xander or anyone playing against Belcher, you know you have a certain number of turns you're going to certainly get to play.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Belcher has a lot of counter magic, so it doesn't necessarily mean that the spells that you get to play or the game plan you're trying to enact is going to resolve. But you do get a number of turns to play the game. And then once we get to turn 4, there is the potential for you to die and for your opponent to have counter magic to make sure that it all works. So with that in mind, you know that at least, you know what, I get to play the first 3 turns of the game. And then I need to be prepared for, once it comes around to turn 4, for the Belcher player, that I can defend myself or I've done my proactive thing.
And we're in game 2 now as well, it's worth pointing out, with Kidston having won game number 1. So that brings cards like, Force of Vigor, for one. Play.
4 mana.
Okay.
Stuff that can interact with the artifacts
Outside faces.
that pull this combo together on the other side of the battlefield. All right, second Urza Saga hits the bin.
I remember when this deck used to play Dried of the Elysian Grove. alongside like Valakut, and you could play multiple lands in a
Yep.
turn and kill your opponent. And it's just that deck has just moved on from that.
It's become a lot more Matt Nassi.
Yeah, it doesn't care about that anymore at all. Okay, there's a Vexing Bauble.
Okay, that's actually a very nice one in this matchup.
Yeah, so that was.
Can't respond to it.
Yep, can't respond to that, as Xander did mention. This is just the round of the Vexing Bauble, I guess.
Yeah. People are getting vexed.
Some mana floating.
All right, Simic Growth Chamber.
6.
And that's
Ooh.
a 6.
Okay.
So that was 3 mana there because that is a Simic Growth Chamber that was tapped.
Yep, that's out of the board.
6 is out of the board, yep, correct. Now, what do we care about on this card here in this matchup?
I mean, probably just getting some lands.
Bringing lands back,
Yeah.
just value.
Yeah, I think this is just like a value card that you get to play.
All right, into the Floodmoor on the Vexing Bauble.
Interesting. Well, if I'm catching Xander's hand correctly, there's a Mystical Dispute in hand, but no blue mana.
Blue mana.
Yeah, and there's also a Dismember. And that's for Tameshi. So now Bloom is in because Vexing Bauble's gone. Oh, Andrew's moving faster now. I would be scared.
This is the turn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, Belcher.
I'll activate it.
And then activates.
I have no islands.
And then...
I have no islands.
Yeah.
Oh, yes!
And
Yes!
we're gonna
Yes, let's do it!
We're gonna
It's
check.
that
All
fast.
right.
I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to do that. I think let's just go.
Xander Naumenko has said, "Show me, buddy.
I'm not sure what count we're at.
Show me. Make sure you haven't sideboarded any extra lands in, and that is going to be that here."
He's the Viva Saving deck?
I have a suspend Lotus Bloom. It's 2 risky. Like you did, you choose not to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
A Belcher player, better than myself, told me.
Little post-mortem there between those two players as well, discussing the victory that ultimately went the way of the Belcher pilot there. But we got to finally see Goblin Char Belcher do its thing.
Yeah, look, one of the most played decks coming into the tournament. I think people expected it. I talked to a lot of folks at the player party on Thursday about why are you playing it, and it's basically like, yes, it's a turn 4 combo deck, which couldn't technically be slow, but it's a turn 4 combo deck that has some resiliency. It's quite consistent, and it can defend itself.
Yes.
Right. So
I think that's the key.
yes.
I think it's that last the fact that it is this like otherwise glass cannon looking combo deck, one trick pony type of thing, but the quality of interaction, particularly free no mana interaction, has risen so much in the last couple of years. This is a deck that can really rumble, as you say, by defending itself.
Yeah, and we just saw that particular game. And into the Floodball takes care of the Vexing Bauble. The Lotus comes in. I'm going to try to kill you. It is going to work. The game ends, right?
Yeah.
So because it is a blue deck, it has a lot of, it has bounce effects, it has counter spells, there's a lot of ways to interact with you, and then it's quite good at actually just finding the combo and enough mana to be able to go off on turn 4 with something resembling regularity. So getting to see it do its thing, you might think to yourself when you look at the deck list on paper of just like, well, how consistent is this deck? The answer is actually very. And that's the appeal of the strategy. Now, it's not as fast as the other combo decks, and some decks have the opportunity to go under it. And of course, as I mentioned, you're going to get to play at least 3 turns against the deck. Just the question is are you ready to engage with them when they're trying to kill you on 4? And do the things that you're trying to do resolve, or are they relevant enough? And sometimes the answer is no.
That's a really good point as well, because it's not just about using those 3 turns that you're more or less guaranteed. You've got to use those 3 turns to do something that's relevant.
Correct.
Whether that is put a bunch of pressure on, as we saw with like early Kappa Cannoneers or whatever, right?
Yep.
Or whether it's put cards into play like Vexing Bauble that aren't going to be removed or disrupted.
Correct.
To make sure that your opponent can't go off. So really, really interesting. Adds an extra layer of tension in a lot of matches because it is a deck that you have to be ready for if you want to beat.
Yep.
It does catch some crossfire from other cards, like Vexing Bauble does a lot of work in a lot of matchups, for instance, but doesn't rely on the graveyard. It can do a lot of work through a lot of the other hate pieces that are being brought in post-board. So
it's a surprisingly resilient deck that doesn't play any lands, technically. It's it's not a heavily played deck on accident. Looks weird on paper. It's quite a good deck. I don't know if it's good as Shuhei's deck, but it's quite a good deck.
Well, we're going to continue that exploration of this format tomorrow, my friends. We're rounding out our coverage of today's action as we head back to the booth now to wrap things up at the end of day one play here at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. Hello, you three over there. Bring it home for us, my friends.